Audiobook Academy. Book Summary. Faust. By Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe's Faust is a drama that he wrote. The first portion of the play was published in 1808, and the second part was published after his death in 1832. Inspired by an old German folktale about a brilliant scholar who, despite his accomplishments, is unhappy with his lot in life, the drama tells the story of a similar character. With this unhappiness, he makes an agreement with Satan, trading his immortal life for an endless supply of information and other benefits. A major theme in Goethe's play is Heinrich Faust's sense of unfulfillment and unhappiness in spite of his many achievements. He craves knowledge of pure truth and the significance of our being on this planet. Faust makes a deal with the devil after turning to an enchantment in search of an answer. As long as the devil can provide him an experience that completely erases his sense of isolation, he will give up his spirit in exchange for that one precious moment. Faust, with the help of the fallen angel, tries to find happiness through emotional connection in the first part of the sonnet. Faust's tragic romance with Gretchen comes to an end with her death, but the event leaves him shaken. Through fleeting accomplishments and exposure to all that the world has to offer in terms of concepts and externalized pleasures, he strives to satisfy his desire in part 2. However, no matter how important his position at the imperial court becomes or how many great victories he earns or how much fame he gains, none of these things provide him lasting peace. Faust dies angry and perplexed. Because of his never-ending pursuit of righteousness and truth, and his brave desire to have confidence in the presence of an option higher than himself, God finally admits him to heaven. A director, a clown, and a poet engage in dialogue to introduce the play. Arguments ensue amongst the three about what constitutes a good play. Depending on who you ask, a good play might mean different things to different people. The director wants it to be a big hit on the box office, the poet wants it to be about artistic integrity, and the clown says that these two things don't have to be exclusive. You can make money off your play while still having it be considered art. Before they can even think about putting on a play, the director reminds them that they still have a lot of work to do. As he begins to talk, he informs the spectators that the performance will take them on a journey that begins in heaven and ends in hell. We are introduced to a meeting between God and three archangels in the first act. When the devil comes, Gabriel, Michael, and Raphael are repeating God's praises. God has given humans reason and intellect, and the devil says he cannot copy their praises because he has observed that mankind is saddened by this. Satan is told about Faust, a man with an unclouded mind who God feels will always perceive the truth, and he tells him about Faust. Faust is a topic of debate between the devil and God, and they end up wagering on the guy. No matter how hard the devil tries to entice or persuade Faust, God says he will have to recognize that there are still decent people in the world at the end of his life. As soon as the wager is completed, we are brought back down to earth. To the study of a man by the name of Faust. Angry and dejected, Faust sulks behind his desk. Though he is well into his 40s and has studied numerous schools of thought, he is nevertheless dissatisfied with his lot in life. He thinks he's being stifled by the boundaries of human understanding and that he hasn't received enough compensation for his efforts. On the next day, Faust is strolling through the streets of the little town where he lives and spots a small black dog following him. The thought of it creeps him out, and he begins to wonder if there's something sinister about it. When a nobleman enters Faust's study the following day, he finds him alone. There is no nobleman at all. Faust rejects his gift of endless wealth and worldly pleasures because he does not believe that this will satisfy his need for immortality. Faust's devilish taunts continue, and he is compelled to renounce his Christian beliefs. With his help, Faust may begin a new life. When Faust agrees to sell his soul, he promises that he will fulfill all of his wishes and become immortal. Faust agrees, despite his skepticism about the unusual nobleman's ability to keep his promises. It's the devil that makes him pledge his life would end if there is ever a moment in his future that is so exquisite, rare, and lovely that he calls out to extend its duration in order to make it endure forever. Initially, the devil has him visit a local tavern, where he tries to convince Faust that he can get pleasure from pleasant company and laughter. In fact, Faust thinks he's incorrect and demands to be let go of him. Faust is taken to the kitchen of a mystery witch by the devil. When the devil informs Faust that the witch will concoct a potion that will remove 30 years off his age, Faust believes him. As a result of drinking the potion, Faust sees a young woman in a mirror on the witch's wall. Faust is promised the maiden by the devil, and he meets her later. Gretchen, however, the lovely lady, rejects his overtures. As a result of Gretchen's innocence and purity, the devil has no influence over her, Faust is told by the narrator. With the help of the devil, Faust decides to seduce her on his own, so he tells him to procure jewelry and other good things for her. Faust wants the devil to inspect Gretchen's room later that night. Her room and the basic furnishings warm him to the core when he's taken there. In Gretchen's room he tells the demon to leave and then tells the audience how at ease he is. Gretchen gets a surprise when the devil returns with a treasure trove full of gems. Gretchen returns to the room after they have left and finds the gems. She's taken in by their beauty to the point where she has no idea how they got there. The devil tells Faust that Gretchen's mother has uncovered the gems and turned them over to the church because she is suspicious of their origins. Martha, a friend of Gretchen's, hosts us at her home the following day. Martha is informed by Gretchen that she has discovered another trunk with valuables, but she decides not to tell her mother about it. Keeping the gems a secret is Martha's advice to her. While pretending to be an on-the-road traveler who met Martha's husband a year earlier and witnessed his murder, the devil breaks inside the house. Martha asks if he can supply her with proof that her husband is deceased so that she can remarry. A young man by the name of Faust will be brought by the devil to testify to the death, he says. It's because his friend has an eye for beautiful ladies that he wants Gretchen to join him. Gretchen is ashamed but agrees. They cannot come up with a plausible lie about a man they have never met, says Faust, objecting to the devil's proposal. The devil, on the other hand, claims that Faust, as a scholar, frequently speaks about topics he has no knowledge of. Faust accepts, but only after much hesitation. Meanwhile, Faust is courting Gretchen while the devil has his sights set on Martha back at the garden throne. Gretchen charms Faust with her innocence and sweetness. The couple finally kisses a few days later. He and Faust are being asked to depart by the devil. Even though she can't show Faust her parents because her mother will disapprove, Gretchen still professes her love for him and says they'll see each other soon enough. Faust is divided between his pure feelings for Gretchen and his carnal urges. As a result, he worries that his assistance is becoming too reliant on the devil. To get him to quit moping, the devil tells him he already has everything he's ever wanted. He advises him to go ahead and have sex with Gretchen since that's what he's there for. However, once the devil keeps up his sensual portrayals of Gretchen, Faust can no longer resist the temptation. He hurries off to meet her. When we see Faust and Gretchen together again, they bring up the subject of religion. If God exists, Gretchen inquires. However, Faust admits that he does not believe in God, but he accepts the belief of others and contends that God is present in nature. The two of them are chatting about a local girl who has become pregnant and is no longer popular in the community a short time afterwards. It's as if Gretchen, who has been pregnant by Faust and now feels sorry for the young woman, is speaking directly to the audience about how she feels about the young woman. Soon, word of Gretchen's secret spreads, and the next scene shows her brother, a soldier, standing in the street, lamenting the loss of their family's pride and Gretchen's good reputation now that he knows her purity has been compromised. A vengeful man stands outside her door, watching for her lover to sneak in. The devil sings a taunting song to Gretchen as Faust and the demon go up the dark street to her window. As for Faust, he seems to have lost all interest in the girl and simply cares about reliving his carnal fantasies. Faust is challenged to a duel by Gretchen's brother, Valentine. Faust and the devil win the duel, leaving Valentine for dead in the street. Gretchen comes out to see her brother dying after hearing the noise. His dying breath insulted her and predicted a difficult existence, so she tried her best to comfort him. Grieving and despondent, Gretchen administers a lethal dose of sedative to her mother, resulting in the woman's death. Later on, she is visited by an evil ghost who mocks her for her transgressions against him. While attending her brother's funeral, Gretchen is overpowered by the spirit and falls on the ground. It's been a year, and Faust has forgotten about Gretchen totally. They dance and orgy on Walpurgis Night, a German superstition, which is considered to be the annual celebration of witchcraft and spirits. The young witch Faust is dancing with causes him to have a second vision of Gretchen, this time depicting her in chains and in a distressed state. The devil entices him back to the celebration when he wanders off from it due to his mounting angst. He later learns that Gretchen is in prison and requests the devil for her release. There is no rationale given by the devil, who claims she deserves to be there. Faust is enraged at this, and the devil reminds him of his role in Gretchen's downfall, saying that humans assume they want to make a bargain with him without properly understanding the repercussions. It's not long before Faust gets the devil to do what he can for Gretchen after he keeps insisting that the fallen angel help. A trip to Gretchen's prison cell is made by Faust and the devil. When they find her, it's obvious that her confinement has sent her nuts. Fearing a hangman who will put an end to her life for the drowning of her kid since she can't recall Faust, Gretchen runs from him. Faust weeps throughout the night after learning what happened to his child. Gretchen is reminded of him by this and springs to life, her chain slipping from her wrists. Gretchen is relieved to see him again and believes that everything will be all right now. Gretchen, on the other hand, is adamant about not escaping. No peace for her, she warns Faust, only her death will do. If Faust doesn't want to be caught, the devil warns him that they have a limited amount of time. A voice from heaven says, "Redeemed." When the devil convinces Faust that Gretchen is damned, Faust is summoned by the devil and they leave Gretchen's side as she cries out for them. Immediately following this part, the devil pretends to be a jester in the emperor's court. The emperor is being told by officials that the country is experiencing financial difficulties. It is suggested by the devil that they search for riches beneath the land. Despite their suspicion, the court's officers believe that he is telling the truth. A carnival for Ash Wednesday is announced by the emperor at the end of the assembly. Emperor has agreed to devil's plan of mining gold, and the country is flooded with new currency as a result of this. The emperor wants Faust to summon the souls of Helen of Troy and Paris at the carnival. As a result, Faust asks the devil for help. When the devil urges him to visit the Eternal Mothers, weird entities that dwell deep within the earth, he accepts the task. As a result of Faust's decision, we see him summoning Helen and Paris to a Greek temple. Courtiers are often dubious about the claims of the king's men. By the time Faust gets to Helen, he is overcome by her beauty and is knocked to the ground by a bolt of lightning. As Faust is carried out of the chamber, the devil seeks help from Wagner, the university scholar who has replaced Faust. For the purpose of spying on Faust's dreams, Wagner makes a miniature humanoid man. If they can't wake Faust now, the small man tells the devil that they should fly Faust to Greco-Roman culture for Walpurgis night. Faust has a dream sequence in which he is reunited with Helen of Troy and battles his way to greatness as a powerful leader in his thoughts. On awakening, the emperor has been deposed and is walled up with his troops, who are trying to recapture it from him. After finding the emperor, Faust approaches him and offers his assistance, which he accepts happily. Because of the devil's assistance, the emperor is able to win the war and reclaim his throne. Emperor gives Faust a piece of seaside land as a reward afterward. Because much of the land is underwater, Faust concludes that it is useless. After more than a century of trying, Faust still hasn't gotten his hands on any more territory. When an old couple refuses to sell their house to him, he implores the devil to take it from them, so that he might acquire more land. Faust is heartbroken when the devil kills them and takes the cabin, and he had not expected them to perish. Seeing 4 grey ghouls, Faust has another vision, this time of his impending demise. He claims that he will not be able to die until he is free of the devil's influence and that he has come to understand the importance of providing for one's basic needs regardless of one's station in life. An overheard conversation between Faust and the devil suggests that this is the culmination of his plot to acquire additional property. He is overtaken with joy and longs for the moment to endure forever as he says the words that the devil promised would bring an end to their contract. Immediately afterward, Faust dies. Desperate to possess Faust's soul, the devil believes he has succeeded in his mission. That bet and the way love and happiness present itself in humans have enraged him, so he blames both of them. Faust, well-educated German professor who, toward the start of the play, is disappointed and troubled by his failure to find life's real purpose. While Faust is a scholar who has mastered several fields of thought, he is primarily motivated by the desire to discover the world's rational order. His need for something more than mortal to lead him has finally been satisfied. Faust has become a symbol of modern man's disillusionment with the modern world because of these underlying causes. Faust was conceived by Goethe as a way to communicate with the entire human race in the play. He is a model everyman figure because he possesses all of the basic features of human capacity and inspiration. Faust's flaws and virtues are exaggerated in order to show his progress throughout the play on a scale that is purposefully overdramatic. Faust's life becomes a mirror of human presence that all men can learn from, and his story takes on a majesty and poise commensurate with the scope of its subject matter. Faust is seen as a tragic hero despite the fact that he receives forgiveness at the play's conclusion. In the end, he realizes the value of life and is taken to heaven, a happy ending meant to inspire everyone who sees the play. The Devil Goethe is altogether different from the rough villainous devil of medieval legend. While lecturing, he exhibits an advanced level of skepticism and realist thinking, as well as being humorous and insightful. Suspicion is the devil's most notable trait, as is the inability to place faith in anything. Even if he preaches of depravity, he can, ironically, be a hidden force for good. That he is an accepted and typical part of God's all-inclusive framework is first demonstrated by his proximity to God in the preface in heaven. By virtue of Faust's relationship with the devil, this perspective is emphasized. Since Satan is so intent on destroying the hero, the devil motivates him to respond in a positive way, which makes him the strongest advocate for salvation. It's easy for the devil to see the flaws in the current system since he's a pariah. That's why his views on humanity and the cosmos are usually correct. While this is happening, he is depicted as narrow-minded and fundamentally misguided in his view of people. Faust is thus an elusive concept for him. He fails miserably at casting his spell on his victim and is ultimately defeated by love, a force he never fully grasped or appreciated. On a deeper level, the devil's persona alludes to Faust's own conflicted self-image. They are able to remain close throughout both sections of the play because of this. This is why Faust's malevolent side shines through at some points, like Walpurgis Night in Part 1, where the devil is able to almost win him. Because he doesn't understand or value the positive aspects of Faust's character, and because he doesn't appreciate any forces of resistance or flexibility in Faust during the battle for his spirit, he falls flat in any circumstance. Gretchen is, at first, an innocent woman who, as the story moves on, develops into a tragic character. Even though she has a strong moral compass and is a good person in general, she falls prey to the devil's temptations because of her desire for companionship, scorn for her mother's rules, and a false sense of security that she has in Faust's love. Despite the fact that her own responsibility for her demise is unaffected, it's possible to say that her wrongdoings are the result of her innocence. At least one critic has dubbed Gretchen the sole true Christian in the song because of her strong religious conviction. So she can accept her discipline at the end of Part 1, as well as reveal her natural hate for the devil and deny Faust's proposal to free her from jail. Part 1 concludes with Gretchen being allowed to heaven because, despite her demonstrations, she has never been motivated by repugnant aims and has acted in accordance with her moral instincts. In the final scene of Part 2, Gretchen reappears as a modest lady named Unipina Tentium. In the midst of Faust's journeys on earth, she has been purifying herself of sin and advancing toward the goal of salvation. Faust is Gretchen's final guide to paradise, and he speaks to her in the language of love. She extends the invitation to him since they can only achieve the most spectacular and pure fulfillment of love together. Finally, in Part 1, Gretchen's refusal to leave the jail helped to ensure that Faust would not be wholly powerless to save himself from the demon. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.